What is good, YouTube? Today we're reacting to why you should stop watching YouTube. Yes, even this video. Don't stop watching my video though. I got good videos. These are the videos you should be watching. I'm curious to see what this is. I thought this guy normally does like if your interest don't make you interesting. I like that. That's a good. I agree with that.
Today, we're going to talk about how to stop watching YouTube in 2026.
You know, I actually don't think there's a problem with YouTube. I feel like people like demonize all social media because of certain ones. When like YouTube videos can be very informational. There's good YouTube. I think really, and there's good TikTok too. I mean, it's just what you watch on it. TikTok is just more addictive than YouTube. Like, it's very easy for me to say I'm not gonna watch that YouTube video, but when you're on TikTok, because of how short it is, it's like a few more seconds doesn't seem bad, but then it just adds up like crazy.
The absolute irony of me telling you to do that as a YouTuber. But here's what I'm seeing, and it's pretty disturbing. We're seeing a lot of people watch more and more self-help content on the internet. And as you watch things like this channel, which, by the way, a lot of our content is great.
But I feel it's not necessarily worse. Like, I feel like the self-help genre is one of the most overrated things in the world. Like, I actually, maybe it's a hot take, I genuinely think self-help books are some of the most useless things ever. People will read those books like Atomic Habits or just certain books like that, and people kind of, I feel like it's not necessarily the book's fault or even necessarily maybe the person's fault, but people read the book and are just like, okay, bam, like I'm gonna be like a millionaire now, like I'm fucking locked in. When you need to actually apply it, and most people don't apply it. And I feel like those are such like fake books. Like, who is actually reading those?
Highly recommend it. There's an insidious problem.
And that's kind of the same thing with like self-help, like YouTube. Like people who like are constantly posting self-help YouTube videos. Like, I think there are people who that kind of vibe, like that kind of organization level works for, but most people don't need that.
Watching content like this, they're listening to podcasts, we're doing all kinds of stuff for our benefit, but it's not actually resulting in a lot of benefit. So here's
I mean, I'd agree with that. I mean, like watching people, that's what I'm saying, like people just watch self-help or read self-help content and act like that's the same as doing it when it's just not.
How this works. I decide at some point to waste a little bit of time. Maybe I'm taking a break from work. Maybe I'm going to the restroom. And so I decide to open up something like YouTube because I want a little bit of a distraction. I want to entertain myself a little bit. And then a really, really sneaky thought creeps in, which is that if I'm going to waste my time, why don't I watch something productive, right? So instead of...
See, I don't think I've ever had that thought, to be honest. I'm like 100% in or I'm not in at all. Like, if I'm wasting time, I just want to enjoy the wasted time. I don't want to like try, like when I'm like, I try and schedule my time so when I have free time, it's just pure free time. Like, actually have nothing else to do, because then otherwise it just never actually hits this. It never quite feels like free time, and then I do worse.
Watching some stand-up comedy or some like, you know, improv comedy sketch or something like that on YouTube.
But also, I know this is like, I'm fucking holy long video this is gonna be, but people, I think, like I was saying at the beginning, like comedy, TV, those things aren't wastes of time if you use them in moderation. People like make I don't know, I forget what argument fallacy this is, but people will say like, oh, people will sit down and watch 6 hours of TV, so TV is a waste of time. When I think wasting 20 minutes of TV, or watching 20 minutes or even an hour of TV for your enjoyment isn't necessarily a waste. Like, not everything in life should be looked at as productivity. Some things you should do just because you fucking like to laugh at TV.
Why don't I pull up a Dr. K?
I think that applies to like real life. I'm a recording bug, but we're back. Should be good. Should be continuing. Like I was saying, think it applies to real life stuff.
Activity video or a podcast, and at least that way, when I'm wasting
I don't see the appeal of podcasts,
I'm actually learning something.
I get because people like watch like podcasts while they're driving. I can't focus on the podcast while driving.
Not really
I can't actually. I'm not actually listening.
Right? That turns
out
to be
it, but then I'm not fully
incredibly insidious thought.
Because
what I want you to think about for a moment is what determines the self-help content that you watch. The scary thing is that our job as YouTubers is to make content that is not helpful, but that is palatable, that is entertaining, that is enjoyable. The metrics we're measured on are not randomized controlled trials where people look at, you know, how much YouTube you watch and how much you actually get better. Those are not the kinds of videos that we make. We make videos that are entertaining. We make videos that get people to click them. We make
Yeah.
videos that people will watch to the end.
I don't think that means that it has to be a non-helpful video, though. I mean, I can see what he's saying if they're like addictive videos and it makes you watch the whole thing. But I think you can still be helpful while being entertaining.
And so what we're actually doing is making content that isn't designed to be helpful. It's designed to be consumed. Now,
But you can do
before we
both.
get into like, oh
Those
my
aren't-
God,
I don't think
all
those are mutually
YouTubers are
exclusive.
evil, I want to take a moment and just share with you that that's actually your fault, not ours. Because I've tried this. If I made a 2-hour, really, really, really helpful video, but it was boring, but it didn't have a clickbait title, but it was not something that was easily doable, who would watch that video? And it turns out that the answer is no one.
I think when you're small, yeah, but I think a guy of like, I think once you're 3 million subscribers. Let me close this quickly. I think when you're at this size, you could easily. How long has this guy been uploading for? You could easily do both, right? You can have your popular stuff, right, and you can have other content that you promote and accept that you're probably not going to make as much money on. Right? And you can just use to be helpful if this is like your main goal, right? Like you can have both. You could have even have them be unlisted and just say if y'all want an actual video, you can post on his social media, right?
So there's a very subtle problem here, which is that the self-help content on the internet is not designed in a way to be helpful. It's designed in a way to be consumed. But that doesn't mean that
I still feel like you can do
right.
Okay,
so
there we go.
People watch this channel. It's hilarious. There's actually a study at the American Psychiatric Association that's being presented this year.
Oh wow.
On healthy gamers content. So this is wild. Like we are actually being studied by people at the American Psychiatric Association for the value of the content that we produce.
That's
And it
actually really
turns out
cool.
that our content is about as useful as the American Psychiatric Association's content, right? So these are people that are not trying to be entertaining. They're trying to be helpful. And I watch self-help content. I listen to podcasts, and there's a lot of good stuff there, right? And there are absolutely people that have been a part of this community, have watched this content. It has transformed their lives, and they moved on. The problem, though, is that there are people who have watched content for years. There's people who consume every podcast on the planet. They watch for hours and hours and hours and hours and hours, and they don't translate it into something.
I don't know if that's the problem with YouTube or podcasts or books. That's just how the people are. That is a person problem. And yes, you can fix that, but that's existed through every form of media consumption. Books especially, like these self-help books, I think most people who read them don't actually put the I don't know what they're like, strategies, I guess, put them to use, right? I think that's just how it is. It's how people do it. It's how they function. They can't commit to it, but they want to. It's like people who are constantly like going on a diet, or people who have a gym membership and never go. You know?
The question becomes, what's the difference? And in order to understand that, we have to dig into the psychology a little bit more. When people hear about our coaching program, their first response is usually, why would I work with another human being when I can watch YouTube videos all on my own? Working with a coach is about idea of, let me just watch some content and be more efficient, right? So this is something that happens so often where like, if I'm sitting down to do some dishes or clean my kitchen, I'm going to turn on a podcast. If I'm waiting for a cue to pop in a game, I'm going to have Healthy Gamer Gigi and Dr. K on my second screen. So at least I'm using that time efficiently. And so this self-help content that we watch becomes bonus. It becomes free. It becomes incredibly
I still don't get the appeal of that. I feel like when I'm being a chud, I want to be a chud, bro.
Efficient. It becomes something that isn't a priority.
And I think that makes the chudness
that I'm
better.
dedicating my time to. It starts to become extra. And the problem with that is that if it's something that's extra, if it's something that's free, that means it doesn't cost me anything. I'm gaining something without spending anything. And the moment we shift into that idea, that's when we run into a huge problem. Because the moment that our brain starts to think this is something that I'm getting for free, at that point we become unwilling to pay a price to actually improve our life.
Okay, I kind of get what he's getting at. He's saying because it's just in the background and you're doing it during free time and it doesn't cost you anything, then it's perfectly fine to not follow through on it because it didn't cost you anything, so you don't feel like you're losing anything by not following through, which I think is fair. But I don't know if that would really, if that really applies, because like I said earlier, like we're thinking about gyms. I don't know what the statistic is, but I'm sure a significant portion of gym memberships are people who never actually go to the gym. They just are too lazy to cancel, and that costs money, right? And money is a very direct cost. Like you feel the cost of money. And yes, I think with it being an automated payment, it kind of numbs you to it, but it's still there and people still don't apply to it.
Tricked our brains, or our brains have tricked us into thinking that this is something I can get for free. So there's a really good example of this, which comes from something called motivational interviewing, which is an evidence-based technique for helping people overcome addictions. So in motivational interviewing, we learn about something called ambivalence, which is sort of this internal conflict. I want to make a change, but I don't want to make a change. So here's the way that this looks. When I start out making a change, when I decide to make a change, I think about the benefit of the change, which is a far, far, far away. Let's say that it's January of 2026, and I'm going to sign up for a gym membership. When I sign up for a gym membership, what motivates me to do that? It's the benefit of going to the gym.
Yeah,
it's
the
thinking
end
to
goal.
myself, okay, if I go to the gym for 6 months this year, if I work out 3 times a week, I'm going to get an awesome beach bod. I'm going to be ready for summer. It's going to improve my health. It's going to be really good for my mental health. It's going to be all these benefits.
Sorry.
We do things because of the benefits. And so the moment that I sign up for the gym, I'm thinking about all the benefits, but
I guess enjoying something would be considered a benefit, but some people do stuff just because they like it, regardless of the benefits.
Not thinking about the costs. And then we run into a problem because when I actually go to the gym, what I do is pay the costs without actually getting a benefit, right? I don't have a beach bod the first time I go to the gym and I'm huffing and puffing and sweating on the treadmill and wondering why I ever came here and I want to stop and I want to leave early and oh my God, I'm so out of shape.
That's fair.
You start to have all of these negative thoughts. So there's something really interesting about human behavior, which is that when we think about a goal, it's all upside. And as we move towards the goal, the cost actually increases. This is why we don't stick with stuff.
Really?
We start something and we're like, oh my God, this turned out to be so much harder than I thought. And then we decide to move in the opposite direction. Okay, forget about the gym. Now what I'm going to do is make a video game because that would be really cool. I'd make a lot of extra income. I love.
That's fair. I mean, I think, I don't know, me personally, I'm a huge habit person. So once I'm in a habit with something, like I'm good, but it's starting that habit. It's like going to the gym. It's like once I'm going 3 times in a row, I'm good. Like I enjoy it. I'm good to go. So I think he can say he's trying to, maybe the startup cost is the issue. I think the more, like, even though, like, I believe it's in economy courses, like sunk cost is taught, right? Like you should just ignore sunk cost, right? You've spent $600, but you've already spent it, so it doesn't matter. But I feel like that's a real feeling people have, that it does matter. So I feel like the closer you get to something, the more you're like, okay, let's finish it actually. But there is that startup is difficult because I feel like, let's say you've been going to the gym for 6 months, right? And it would just take 1 more month to achieve the body you like. Then you would feel like if you don't pull through with that 1 month, then the other 6 months were a waste.
Video games, it'd be awesome.
Right, which in economy they teach you not to think like that.
To make a game. I'm so excited. I have all these ideas.
It is it is how people think. I think,
learning
actually,
how to code, and then you run into bugs, and then you run into more bugs, and you run into more bugs, and then you realize all the work that you put in doesn't really work because you weren't sort of thinking about the architecture of the game at the very beginning, and so then you quit. The way we help people in motivational interviewing is by helping them appreciate the cost. And so if we want
so it's the journey, not the destination. Okay.
Self-help content, there's one really simple
could be a
thing
vibe.
that we need to do. We need to start separating out improvement from entertainment. It's not something that we're doing extra. It's if you are going to improve something.
I understand.
That should be the dedicated goal that you spend. It's not on your second monitor. You are going to sit down and intentionally learn something for the sake of implementation. And like I said, a lot of people have benefited from this channel. I have benefited from.
I feel like how does that? I feel like that'll help. I mean,
a
I can
lot
see
of
how
the
that would
great
help.
content on the internet. And here's the difference between people who benefit and people who don't benefit. Some people start doing the thing and then consume content in a targeted way to
Yeah.
improve the thing. I'll give you all an example from my life. I like watching cooking videos, but the cooking videos that are helpful to me are not the random videos that I click on because I think the thumbnail is cool. It's stuff like,
Yeah.
okay, if I'm going to learn how to grill, I'm going to spend some time grilling. And once I spend some time grilling, I run into problems with the things that I grill. My carrots are not
Okay,
tender.
this is
and
a
if they
fair
get tender,
solution.
they
I see
get
what he's
burned.
saying.
This is a huge problem that I ran into. So then I'm going to watch a targeted video to help me solve that problem.
Okay, I kind of get this. So instead of like learning how to do the thing and then learn how to
Here's
fix the
big
issues.
difference. The work, the energy investment, the cost comes first. That is actually the primary thing. And watching content to supplement that comes second. It's not something
you
extra
help
that I'm doing.
yourself
It's not something that I
and
get
then
for free.
learn how to
I
help
pay the
yourself,
price
kind of.
up front. So if
Okay.
y'all want
He's
to
got
stop
some really
wasting
long
time on
sideburns, I just
YouTube or
realized.
TikTok or Instagram, one thing that you need to do, there's no more free, extra, or efficiency of learning. Either you are learning or you are wasting time. Don't confuse the two. Hey,
Yes,
y'all,
I
hope
agree
you
with
enjoyed
that.
today's
That's what I was saying. Like, just have your free time be free time.
video. We talk
I think
about
it
a
makes your
bunch of
free time
topics
more
like this on the
enjoyable.
channel, so be
But is
sure
this
to
like a
subscribe
hella
below.
old outro? He
If
looks
you're
so
already
different.
subscribed, GG, and we'll see you in chat.
Holy members. This is pretty good though. This was interesting. I see what he's saying. I see what he's getting at. This was a good video, honestly. Thank y'all for watching, man.